Hello and welcome to DFS Preview for the 2023 Tour Championship. My name is Eric and here at SweetSpotDFS. It's all about trying to hit the optimal lineup every single week. And in these preview videos, what I like to do is go over the stats that'll help us do just that. So I like to look at the course and tournament information. I like to go over past optimal and GPP winning lineups, especially for the Tour Championship, which is a little unique, which I will discuss here shortly. It's probably good to know what type of salary builds we want to work with. And then I'm going to go into a review of the BMW Championship just to show you how well the Sweet Spot process did last week, because part of the Sweet Spot process is the bucket system, which I will cover for the Tour Championship at the end of this video. And I just want to give you all the confidence to follow the Sweet Spot process, and that's what the review is for. So before we get into this video, just some reminders. I like to do giveaways. The one on the screen right now is it's really a subscriber giveaway is what I call it. It's a monthly / weekly giveaway. If we hit the goal that you see all the way over there to the left of 600 subscribers by the end of this month, I will give away $50. If not, I'm going to give away a sweatshirt, or I'm sorry, a t-shirt. I'm wearing a sweatshirt. I'll give away a t-shirt with this logo on it. But if we hit that subscriber goal all the way over there to the left of 600, I will give $50 away. Either way, it's my way to reward you guys for participating on the channel. And that also bleeds into the weekly giveaway, which I give $5 away every Monday night during the preview video, which is what you're watching right now. So I'll be doing that here shortly, but just a reminder, how you get entries into the giveaway is by participating on the channel. So be subscribed and comment on any of my videos, any of them. You get one free entry per video, and I put about 6 videos out a week, so you can get up to 6 free entries into the weekly giveaway as well as the monthly giveaway. And just think of it, you've got 4 weeks, so 4 times 6, you have 24 entries in that monthly giveaway that either gets you a t-shirt or it gets you $50, depending on if we hit that goal. So entirely up to you. Let's go ahead and actually run that giveaway right now. So this is our weekly subscriber giveaway. We had 26 total entries. Once I hit yes, we'll find our winner. Chilltown Majors, 1 entry into the strategy video. I think he was the only person to comment on the replay. So congratulations. I know you just sent me an email asking me about the optimizer, but if you're watching this, reach out to me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Let me know how I can get you that $5, whether that's through Google Pay, Venmo, or PayPal. $5 is yours. And just to show that this isn't rigged in any way, shape, or form, we can go ahead and continue on, and you'll see different names every time I hit yes. So, congratulations, Chilltown Majors. Reach out to me once again. So not only is there a subscriber giveaway, I do have a Prize Picks, what I kind of call a rebate. If you sign up on Prize Picks and use the promo code SweetSpot and put at least $20 in your account, I'm going to give you your $20 back. So basically, you first sign up using that promo code you see on the screen, SweetSpot. Once you sign up, put all your information in, put $20 in your account. I will get an email letting me know that you are a paid customer. And I will be able to send you that $20 one way or the other. We can figure out how to get it to you, but I will most likely reach out to you because it requires your email address, so I will reach out to you that way. There is a link in the description that sends you to the Prize Picks homepage. All you gotta do is hit sign up, and then boom, that Sweet Spot promo code will already be applied to your sign up information. That way you don't even have to type it in. Again, link in the description. So those are like monetary giveaways. I also have a cheat sheet that you can use. So as I go through this preview video, you can follow along with me. Everything that I will be covering, you can find in this cheat sheet, or at least I will provide you links or anything like that if I'm talking about anything else. But if we are going over the bucket system, which I will be doing later, or even the tournament information, you can find that information here. There is a bucket system tab. There's also a dream sheet tab. These are the 2 sheets that you can use, and they have filters on them, so you can use the filters to your advantage. Now, if you want to copy this and make it yours, just go to the file menu and make a copy. That way you can modify this however you want. If you want to record the data for whatever reason, I mean, by all means, you can do so. There's some valuable information in here that you can do that with. Again, just make a copy of it. Link in the description once more. And let me throw something on the screen right now. This is going to look messy to you. Actually, hold on. Let me do the master copy. So I have an optimizer that I like to use. I like to build lineups every Tuesday. So this will be Tuesday at 8 p.m. I'll use this 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will use this optimizer to build lineups. This has the BMW information in there. I have not yet updated it with the Tour Championship, although now I have all the pieces. They got tee times out really early. So I will update this optimizer with the Tour Championship information. And if you would like access to it, all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, comment down below on this video or any of the other videos, and then email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. You'll see that's coming across here shortly with these little slider banners, or the banners that slide. Just email me there, sweetspotdfs@gmail.com, letting me know you would like to use the optimizer, and I will then send it to you. I just have to know that you are subscribed and that you have commented on one of my videos. I like to reward those that participate on the channel. So that is the optimizer. Again, I will I'll showcase this tomorrow during the strategy video where I'll be building lineups with it. That is all that we have for giveaways. Let's go ahead and start this off with the course and tournament information. I always like to start with the tournament and course information at the gcsaa.org. That is this website you see right here. I do have the top kind of masked a little bit. But when you come here to this website, all you gotta do is go down to the media room down here. Go here, you'll find the tournament fact sheets right there. I know it's really small on your screen, but trust me, bottom of the screen in the footer, you will see media room tournament fact sheets. And all you gotta do is go up here to the PGA Tour and hit the Tour Championship. I'll zoom in for you guys so you guys can see this a little bit better. But all the sheet provides us are data points for research. So you have the tournament, the Tour Championship, you have the golf course, East Lake Golf Club, Atlanta, Georgia. So you also have the region that you can use. You have the city. If you want to use any of these for data points, you certainly can. I don't think they're that important. I mean, the golf course is. So too is the tournament, but more so the golf course. You can look at the par, the setup here. That's also worth researching, I think. You can look at some other course statistics that I don't even know if I really care all that much for. Some of this is good, some of it's just noise. The thing I really find most important is the turf grass. So you can see we have on the greens, Mini Verde, Ultra Dwarf, Bermuda. We also have that on the approaches. The tees are a little bit different, and so too are the fairways. So the tees are like a mix of Bermuda and Zoysia grass. We don't really care about the tees, if we're being honest. Most people just teed up even on the par threes. So we don't have to really worry about grass there. But the Zoysia is in the fairways. This is just like the FedEx St. Jude Championship. So if you wanted to use that as like some course comp, you certainly could. I don't know how closely correlated it is, but you certainly could. You could. I personally do not have Zoysia grass as a grass stat that I use. If you were to go back to the cheat sheet, you can see it says bent. Let me go ahead and change that to Bermuda. Bent means Bermuda. It really doesn't. I just forgot to update it. So we have Bermuda grass. You can use this. My data goes back to 2013. So these three columns here, Bermuda events, overall Bermuda, and top 10 Bermuda percentage. This is just their success rate of finishing inside the top 10 at Bermuda golf courses. You have that all right here in these three columns. And then last year, Bermuda just looks all the way back to, well, 365 days ago. What is their average finishing position on Bermuda golf courses? So you can see all the best performers on Bermuda. So this is available to you again on the cheat sheet you can find in the description below. But going back to the fact sheets, you also have additional notes in here that you could use if you wanted to. I don't really care all that much, if I'm being honest. None of this really seems important or relevant. You could also use the course architect, Tom Bendelow. You can also use some of these renovation architects like Reese Jones and Donald Ross. I really don't know the correlation there, but again, these are data points you can use in researching. And if you had 100 points, maybe you could put 2 into the architect and 1 into any of these renovation architects. Like you're trying to just tip the scale a little bit just to have a little influence, but you wouldn't want to lead with this information. I think most of your, like, the good meat in a model would be your turf grass. And then of course, if you have any like course mapping, like I kind of do, I guess we can go over it a little bit here. So I usually like to look at each golf course and try to figure out, you know, is there a shot shape that's required or a shot shape that is preferred? Because I'm looking for scoring opportunities. DraftKings and FanDuel is a game of scoring birdies and eagles and avoiding bogeys, basically. But it primarily is trying to get birdies and eagles. Well, you can't really get birdies and eagles unless, or I should say this, it's hard to get birdies or eagles if you don't put yourself in the right position. And a lot of times you need a specific shot shape to do just that. Well, I don't really see a huge advantage on any of these holes that require you one shot shape or the other. Looks pretty even when we kind of look at the summary box right here. So it looks like 2 off the tee draws, 2 off the tee fades, 1 approach draw and 2 approach fades. Otherwise, it's pretty much you can hit any shot. And how I would look at a hole like this that says fade fade. Well, if someone draws, you know, if someone has a draw shot shape, I mean, it's a par 5. They could probably make birdie regardless. This is more or less hitting it off the tee as far as you can and going for it in 2. But if someone were to play this in 3 shots and still park it close to the hole and make that putt, they still get a birdie. So you could ignore something like this. A lot of this, even in hole 18 is a par 5 as well. You could ignore that as well. So it isn't necessary. It's just, I think, the best opportunity for scoring. That's how I look at it. And on the cheat sheet, if you were to go back to the cheat sheet, you can see that I include shot shapes in column P. Not everybody has a shot shape here. Maybe everyone will after I do this. Because I watch these things. I went to school for golf. I give golf lessons. I pay attention pretty closely. Actually, I don't know Taylor Moore and I don't know Adam Schenk off the top of my head. I look pretty closely at shot shapes. And I know when someone is a little inadequate when trying to hit a specific shot shape, like say Tommy Fleetwood trying to hit a fade. Guy isn't very good at it, despite being a pro. Some of these guys, they can flight it both ways. But when I look at the golf course, it doesn't seem like there's an advantage to hit one shot over the other. Maybe when we get down to hole 18 and the tournament is on the line, and say Rory McIlroy's out there and he tries hitting, you know, he's known for hitting a huge draw or a nice draw, a beautiful draw. He also knows how to work a fade. So perhaps he can do this. It's very, I mean, some of this is noise, don't get me wrong, but again, I'm looking for scoring opportunities. So on a golf course like this, it doesn't really matter. It's a long-winded way to say it really doesn't matter. If we go and we look at the tournament, this is where it gets very interesting. If you're not aware, the tournament has staggered scoring. So I'm going to go ahead and sort that by the score. You can also find this on the cheat sheet. I included that here in column N for score. Sorry, wrong sheet. Let me just close that one down. It's a staggered start. So number 1 in the FedEx Cup playoffs is Scotty Scheffler. I realize I didn't update the OWGR, but it doesn't really matter. Scotty currently in the playoffs leading up to the championship right now is number 1. So he gets to start out at -10. I'm sure you've heard this throughout the industry. I'm not going to be the first person telling you this, and this is probably repeat information that you're probably tired of hearing, if I'm being honest. So we have that information. I have this included in the cheat sheet. So that's where these golfers start. Now that plays a huge factor into, well, their price tags for one thing, but also who you want to start with when selecting the golfers to put on your team. Remember, DraftKings and FanDuel, you select 6 golfers. Well, you see some of these price tags up here? You know, if we went 4 under or better, no one's cheaper than 9,100. And really, there's 3 golfers that are in the 9,000 range. Everyone else is in the 10,000 and above range, including Scotty Scheffler at 13,400. Well, DraftKings still has a salary cap of $50,000. So putting Scotty Scheffler on there kind of handicaps you quite a bit in the golfers you can choose. We'll look at this more with the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups, just to see, you know, should we include a $13,000 golfer in our lineup or not? You know, does it end up working out that way? We'll figure it out there. But the other piece to all of this, I do have tee times loaded in. Usually I talk about marquee tee times in the strategy video. We won't be doing that because there's no point. They reseed after every day. That's at least what I remember from last year. So if, say, you know, so Scotty and Victor Hovland will be, you know, going out last. They're at 1 p.m. If Rory has a dynamite round and he shoots up to number 1, but Scotty still maintains his lead over Victor Hovland. So let's say, so Victor starts at -8, Rory starts at -7, and Scheffler starts at -10. Let's say these two stay the same, and Rory shoots up to 13 under. He and then Scotty Scheffler will be paired up on Friday. Victor will move down wherever he ends up, you know. He'll be paired up with the next person. So on and so forth. So they're going to get reseeded, repaired after each round. So there's no real sense in talking about marquee tee times. I guess we can tomorrow in that strategy video. Again, I go live 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. But just throwing that out there because that's part of this tournament information that you might need to know or you might want to know. And then the other last piece to go with this is just I have the strength of field calculated, 517. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's 30 people in this event. That's the other thing I could mention. There's 30 people in this event. It's a no-cut event, so all 30 of these golfers will play 72 holes unless they withdraw, of course. So keep all of that information in mind, and those are also data points you can use for researching. So I really don't have anything else to talk about with the course information or the course and tournament information. So we can end this segment here and move to the next one, which are the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. So I think it's probably smart to start the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups talking about the salaries. I thought about this, you know, and I just jump right into the latest date or the tournament that it goes all the way back that I have salaries for. So that'd be like 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017. I think it's probably worthwhile talking about the salaries first. So you can see 13,000. And by the way, I say this because I want you to pay attention when we look at the years where there were staggered starts, which is I think 2019 and forward. So does it matter? You know, can these golfers at the top provide value based off of their price tag? Can you win a GPP playing one of these guys, or could you hit the optimal lineup? Those are very important pieces of information, or those are very important questions we need to answer. Because if not, then we just rule them out. And we probably have to think about certain scenarios that allow these golfers to be in the optimal lineup or even in the GPP winning lineup. So as we go through this, I just want you to realize we have 13,000 or like 12.5, let's say 11.6 up to 13.4. 11.6 isn't too uncommon, but 12.5 up to 13 is. So, but you know, 11.6, though we have seen it before, it's very expensive when trying to build a lineup. Now, on the flip side of that, we do have these $5,000 golfers down here. And that's worthwhile mentioning because let's see how often they show up in the optimal lineup or the GPP winning lineup or even inside the top 10. Because if they're inside the top 10, it gives us more confidence to want to play one of those golfers. So either way, pay attention to those things as we go through, because when I start here in 2017, we don't have a staggered start. This was all, everyone just started at even. and then went from there. So you can see very cheap price tags. You know, a lot of these golfers were, I mean, it's your top 30 for that season. So we left a lot of money on the table. And, you know, I don't even know if it's worth mentioning these past years because we don't have a staggered start. But let me just go through them quickly. So we have Brooks, 81, Justin Thomas at 99, Paul Casey at 86, and then 3 6K golfers that made up your optimal lineup. But you could dump one of those 6K golfers for, actually you couldn't. Ooh, that one's just off. It's kind of funny. We could do something like this. So this lineup here has Jordan Spieth at 11,600. If you did that, you went 11, 9, 8, and then 3 6K golfers. That's pretty hard to do. Now, I usually advocate for a 10K, 9K, 8K, 7K, 7K, 6K start. So if I were to repeat that in a shorter version, start with a 10K golfer, then a 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. That's usually how I phrase it. And then you can make up to 2 substitutions. So you obviously can get that with this lineup. And I might as well just mark it green because this is a more realistic lineup. This equals 49,700, and it follows that sweet spot process of salary construction. In 2018, again, we don't have that staggered start. So it's just more of a common tournament, a common salary build, I guess. So the optimal here had Tiger Woods at 9,500, Billy Horschel at 73, Hideki at 88, Webb Simpson at 75, Ricky Fowler at 91, and Xander Schauffele at 7,000. So another way to word that is we actually have 2 9K golfers, 1 8K, and 3 7s. Now that still follows the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 with 2 substitutions. We sub one of our 10s down to another 9. So now we have two 9s. And you can see we have our 8 and our 2 7s, but actually we have 3 7s. You sub our 6 up to a 7, and that's how you get the 2 substitutions. There's another way to build. You could go Dustin Johnson 11,000, Tiger at 9, Billy Horschel at 7, Webb at 7, Xander at 7, and Casey at 6. No 8K golfers. We sub our 8 down two times to a 6K, and there you have a secondary lineup build that probably could take down a GPP. But 2017 and 2018 we probably ignore. We get to 2019. We get to 2019. I'm just wondering, did I hit the right? I had to have. I'll double check it after the show. 2019 is where we actually start a staggered start. And I wonder, do I have a DK page that shows that? Yeah. So we have their starting score, their playing score, and then their total score. So yeah, we had our staggered start in 2019. This is where it starts. So it's worth paying attention to the price tags. This is kind of crazy because I think DK has figured it out. So if I were to sort salaries top to bottom, Justin Thomas was at 15,500, and then it just dropped into the 12s. So it's a little bit different, but it's still kind of the same. Still kind of the same. If I take that filter off, because Justin finished 3rd, and even if he was $13,000, I don't think he returns value. You couldn't play him if you were truly trying to hit the optimal lineup. So here we actually use 49,700 for our optimal lineup, and it starts with a Rory McIlroy at 10-6, Xander at 9, 2 8K golfers in Scott and Finau, a 7K golfer in Paul Casey, and then a $5,100 golfer in Ches Reavie. So we're already kind of unlocking that thought process. Do we want to play a 5K golfer? And so far it kind of looks that way. Once we get to 2020, our optimal lineup leaves a lot of money on the table, and that's primarily because here's the interesting thing. You see Dustin Johnson won this at 15,200. Now he was not in the optimal lineup, but he was in the GPP winning lineup. That's why he's colored blue. 15,500. He scores 107 DraftKings points. Xander Schauffele scored more than him, 111 points. He scored 4 more points than DJ. He didn't get those first place points. You know, on DraftKings, it's 30 points. If you get second, which Xander did, you get 20 points. So him and JT both got 20 points for finishing second place. So just think of that. If Xander would have won that tournament, he would have scored 10 more points. And DJ would have lost 10. DJ would have scored 97 points, and then Schauffele would have scored 121. So here, this optimal lineup started with Justin Thomas because he's not 15,200 like Dustin Johnson. 11,900, $8,900 Xander Schauffele, $7,900 Scotty Scheffler, 7,000 Tyrrell Hatton, 5,900 Sebastian Munoz, and 5,200 in Mackenzie Hughes. And you can see they're kind of all different on the leaderboard, but when you look at their points, how much they scored, Hughes and Munoz scored 80 some points. Scheffler scored 96, and the other two up here scored 100. When you look at the golfers around them and their price tags, those 59 or those $5,000 golfers scored, you know, like Munoz scored 86.5 points. He was $5,900. He just scored 1.5 points less than Colin Morikawa, so he was a way better return on value for his price tag. So that's one way. Like, just now we have two 5K golfers in there. Just throwing that in there, or throwing that out there. So we started in 2019, we had one 5K golfer, and now here in 2020, we have two 5K golfers. Your GPP winning lineup, by the way, did use Dustin Johnson, Xander Schauffele, and Scotty Scheffler. Those three, well, Scheffler and Schauffele were in the optimal lineup. DJ was not, but DJ at 15,200, you have to bring in a $5,900 Sebastian Munoz, a $5,200 Mackenzie Hughes, and a $6,100 Abraham Answer. So those were three really low price guys. And it's not even so much stars and scrubs. You're just taking the number one guy at 15,200, and then you add those three guys in, then you add a 79 and an 89. So it was not the optimal, by the way. It was not the optimal. So far, the optimal has not seen anything greater than $11,900. Just throwing that out there. In 2021, our optimal lineup left $200 on the table. And again, it does not start with the first place guy who was $13,400, but it does start with the $13,000 Jon Rahm. And I can only imagine the reason why is that $200 difference. That's how these like, if you're just wondering, oh, does 13,400 really matter that much more than 13,000? Well, in 2021, yes, it did. So this is by far the most expensive that we've seen, that we've seen in a GPP winning lineup, or even in an optimal lineup. $13,000. It had a $13,000 and an $11,000 golfer, and an $8,900 golfer, which means it had to require these low price guys. So this is the second year in a row now that we've looked at this where it included two 5Ks and a 6K. I think that's what it did in 2020, right? Yeah, two 5s and a 6. So 2021, there we go, two 5s and a 6. And a $13,000 golfer, and an $11,000, and an $8,900 golfer. I was wondering how many times we've seen 89. Maybe 89's a magical number. It is not. It's not. So that's 2021. And that was also the GPP winner, by the way. So if you're wondering if you should be hunting the optimal lineup, yeah, you probably should, because that was the GPP winner in 2021. And then the final year in 2022, our optimal lineup started with $10,800 Rory McIlroy, $9,100 Sung J M, $9,400 Justin Thomas, 75, 72, and 5 flat. So since the staggered start happened in 2019, we have seen a 5K golfer in every single optimal lineup. Every single, at least one. Obviously last year and the year before that, or I shouldn't say last year, in 2021 and 2020, we saw two 5Ks and a 6 to go with one of the really, really expensive guys. I feel like those are probably your two lineup build choices. You start with a low 10K or even like an 11K. I think Rahm at 11.6 or 11.4, whatever it is. You could go with him, a 9 and another 9, or a 9 and an 8, and then fill it in with some of those low price guys. You do it that way, or you start with a 13 and fill it in with, you know, an 8, maybe a 7, and then 2 5s and a 6. Because that's kind of what we're seeing here. I mean, your GPP winning lineup was kind of that same thing. I mean, it was the same thing. You just sub out Max Homa and you put in Joaquin Niemann. And that was closer to using up $50,000. It just missed out on the optimal lineup at 4.5 points. By 4.5 points. So here's my thoughts. If you do start, and I kind of already said this just shortly, a short while ago, 13,400 or even 13,000. If you're starting here, I think you can choose a max of 2 people in here to go along with 3 people down here, which is doable. We've seen it already. We've seen it twice. Or you do something like somewhere in here with 1 or 2 guys from here, 1 or 2 guys from here, and then 1 or 2 guys from here. I know that might be a little complicated, but just to throw it in like an idea, let's say we go with a $10,500 Xander Schauffele. We could pair him up with like a $9,500 Brian Harmon, a $9,100 Wyndham Clark. Let's make sure we get someone here down in the 5K range. Let's choose, how about just flat Nick Taylor? Why not? Let's use Nick Taylor, and how about Siwoo Kim? What do we have left? So we're at 41,300, meaning we could do, well, Colin Morikawa would work, but we could do, shoot, how about this? We'll put Russell Henley in there. So we can go 10, 2 9s, an 8, a 7, and a 5K. We could do something like that. It really depends on where you want to start building your lineups. Again, you know, like let's look at some other things. So in 2019, when we had a staggered start, Rory won it starting at -5. If we want to see some of these other people, you know, Ches Reavie was in the optimal lineup. He started at -1 at $5,100. We also have a -2 guy here that was $7,500. A few -3s, and we even had some evens kind of shoot up the leaderboard. So that was in 2019. 2020 starting score. So DJ started at -10. Yeah, okay. There's Xander at -3, Scotty at -2, Tyrrell Hatton at -2. So not a -1 or worse, you know, inside the top 10, but -2 and -3, you know, don't discount those golfers. 2021, what do we have? Starting score right here. So we have a -2 in Kevin Knott, 6,000. -2 for Xander at 89. -3. Oh, we have an even. Billy Horschel at $5,100. We also have another even that finished 11th place. He was in the optimal lineup at $5,800. So we have some evens, some -2s up there. I guess 2022, what do we have? Let's make sure we have everybody. Okay. So starting score, we have a -2 with Max Homa up here, a -1 Tom Hoge. He was in the optimal lineup, and that was it for anyone inside the top 10. Aaron Wise, he started even. Just want to make sure that's correct. I thought we went over something different. Oh, we did not. Okay. So yeah, 2022. So hey, if you want to start with someone who or if you want to play someone who started even, -1, -2, I think those are all viable options. Maybe not a lot of them. You know, these 5K golfers that are down here. Let's see by salary. If I sort from top to bottom. So these -1s, I think maybe are viable. Maybe you do want to start with an even guy, because I mean, you get Tyrrell Hatton and Jordan Spieth. Those are probably golfers worth playing. Same goes with, I mean, I think everyone that is at even par that's starting there, probably worthwhile to play. Some of these other guys at like -2 or even -1. Colin Morikawa, I wouldn't sleep on someone like him at -1. He's got the firepower. -3, -2. You know, it's really up to you guys where you want to start, but, you know, looking at past, you know, don't choose 3 golfers -2 or worse, it looks like. Nope, that's not true. In 2021, we saw that. In 2020, we had 2 -2 golfers. And in 2019, inside the top 10, we had a -2 and a -1. So we had a couple -2s, actually. I'm sorry. There's another -2 right there. 3 would probably be the max, though. I wouldn't do 4. As I see it, you know, going through this, I don't think I'd do 4 that's at -2 or worse. There's a possibility that it could work out this year, but why take the risk? So anyways, that will conclude the pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. I think we have some good information as to where to start building our lineups just based off of salaries. So let's go ahead and get into the next portion, which is going to be a review of the BMW Championship. When it comes to the reviews of these tournaments, basically what I like to do them is to show you how successful the bucket system was, how successful the marquee tee times were, how successful the sweet spot process was in general. I don't necessarily care to talk about who won the tournament, although I'll let you know it was Victor Hovland, as you saw in the thumbnail. I just want to go over the sweet spot process so you have confidence using it this week for the Tour Championship. So the first thing I like to start with is this bucket system page, which I want you to focus on this column right here. A Y means the bucket was successful, and N means it was not. Now, in order for the buckets to be or to get a Y in these cells, well, one, we look at the projections that I had for the week. So for this last year 1 bucket, I actually had 2.51, which we round down to 2 as the minimum. We wanted to select at least 2 golfers from this bucket. That's what that means. And then we look at our maximum, and this is 4.18. We round up to 5. So this bucket is saying we want somewhere between 2 to 5 golfers to, well, at least what it tells us is we're projecting 2 to 5 golfers to finish inside the top 10. And the best way to hit the optimal lineup are to select golfers that we think are going to be inside the top 10. All 6 of them. And that was the old goal of SweetSpotDFS, was to get all 6 of our golfers inside the top 10. But you can score more DraftKings points than like outside of the top 10 than being inside the top 10. So we don't necessarily care about all 6 being inside the top 10, but we still want to shoot for all 6 of our golfers to be inside the top 10, if that makes sense. So 2 to 5 is the projection. So this column here will calculate whether or not that many golfers were inside the top 10. So we had 5. Well, that falls inside that range of 2 to 5, so it already is a success. Now, if it wasn't, it would then look at the optimal lineup. And if the optimal lineup had golfers that, you know, the amount of golfers in the optimal lineup fit inside that projection for the last year 1 bucket, that would also make it a success. But if both of these numbers fell outside of that projection, then it would be a no. So as you can see, scrolling through this, we have had that many top 10s or optimal lineups in every one of the buckets. Now you see these 2 no's down here. Let me highlight those. So this is Excel. Like, it's Google spreadsheets. It has limitations. I can build code to fit what I'm about to tell you into it, but that takes a lot of time. And I might as well just tell you as opposed to just write the code. If you watched the preview video, I explain this, and I will explain it here when I get to the bucket system for the Tour Championship. We always round down with this minimum to 0, but we always have to ensure there's a 2-point buffer between the minimum and the maximum. So you can see this is 0. That means the max has to be 2. And as you can tell, there's actually 2 golfers, not only inside the top 10, but also in the optimal lineup. So this should actually be a Y because it was successful. It not only had 1, but it also had 2. Likewise, this bucket down here is the same thing. You can see there's a 0 and a 1 basically. This would be 0 to 2 as well, and the same thing applies for how many golfers showed up inside the top 10 as well as the optimal lineup. So the reason why those weren't successful is because the code here does not include, it doesn't capture this being a 0 to 2. It just says, oh, that's 0 to 1. And quite frankly, this should be successful. I don't understand why it doesn't show that. I'd have to look at the code. But either way, I guess we could do this really quick. Let's just verify each projection actually fits. So 2 to 5, 5, 1 to 3, 6. So then we go here 2, that was successful. 0 to 2, we have 1, 0 to 2, 0, 0, 0, 0 to 2, 2, 2 to 5, 6. So we go here 1. Okay, so that shouldn't be successful either. What is going on? All right, if G10 is less than 2, which it is not. Okay. I'm not gonna sit here and try to figure this out live, but obviously that one should be a no. I'm not sure why it says... I mean, I don't want to figure this out because I don't want to waste your time, but I also kind of want to figure it out because I don't understand why. AB10. So if G10 is less than or equal to 2, which it is not, we can skip that part. If AA10 is less than H, which it is not, and no, if AB10 is greater than roundup of G10, it's 5. Weird. I don't know why that's not working. The code is fine. How is that not a failure? If AB10 is greater than roundup of G10, so that would be right here. So AB10 is this, and if this rounded up, I'm sorry. Oh, it's limited code. Shouldn't be looking at AB10. I found a discrepancy in here. Okay. Weird. I wonder why I didn't catch that before. All right, well, let's go through the rest of these. So this is a no. So one bucket is a no. That's crazy. I have to do this for you guys. I'm sure some of you don't care. 1 to 3, 5 to 3, so 3 works. 0 to 2, we have 1 that works. 0 to 2, 2 and 1 work. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1 to 4, 3 and 1, that works. 2 to 5, we have 7, but then 2, so that works. This is technically 0 to 2, we have 3, but then 1 works. 0 to 2, but we have, well, there's one golfer there. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 0 to 2, 1 and 2, so obviously that one, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but that one should be fixed too. What is going on? That should be a success. Okay, this one needs to be looked at. I need to, okay, so hold on. 2 to 4, 5 and 3, that works. 2 to 4, 6 and 1 do not work, so that would be a failure. So that actually would be a failure. 0 to 2, 1, 1, that works. 0 to 2, 2, 1, that works. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 1 to 4, 4 and 2 work. 1 to 3, 2 and 0 work. 1 to 3, 5 and 2, so that works. The 2 fits in there. 0 to 2, 0, 0, 0 to 2, 2 and 0, so that works. This should be 0 to 2, 1 to 2, so that one should be different. And then we have 6 more buckets to go. 3 to 6, we have 7 and 3, so that works. 0 to 2, 2 and 1, that works. 0 to 2, 3 and 1 work, because the 1 works. 0 to 2, 2 and 1 work, and then 0, 0, 0, 0. So it actually is 2 buckets failed. Either way, 34 to 36 buckets were correct. And I'm sorry that that took a lot longer than it needed to. I need to update this. Okay. That one will get fixed. All right. So then the other piece that goes into this is looking at the marquee tee times. Now, it was interesting because we had a limited field and we only had 2 golfers in each tee time. So I wasn't sure if the marquee tee times were going to work. In fact, we kind of included a little workaround on the optimizer. I shouldn't even say workaround. We were pretty lenient with the optimizer. I allowed you to pair up golfers if you wanted to use the optimizer, and guess what? We didn't even see a pair up of golfers in the optimal lineup. These little black tick marks indicate optimal lineup. So Sky Scheffler was in it, Victor Hovland was in it, and so too was Brian Harman. We'll get to the optimal lineup here shortly. But those 3 golfers were in the marquee tee times, and I tell you want to select 2 to 4 golfers from the marquee tee times to put in your lineups, and you don't want to pair them up together. That held true for this event. Now, normally, we went through this in the preview video for the BMW Championship. It didn't necessarily happen every single year. There were times where golfers were paired up. So that's why I was a little lenient on those rules this week, but still, it matched up. So yeah, the marquee tee times were 100% successful. So the last thing to look at is actually looking, oh my goodness. I just realized so the optimal lineup stuff is based off of this. I didn't update it all the way. Crazy. I wonder if that'll change. Or maybe it just looks at the DK page. I mean, I forgot. Shame on me. I know, I'm sorry. So yes. This one should be a yes. And then yes, and those 3 are yeses. Okay, cool. Let me double check. Did that change anything here? It did not. Because this is feeding from here. I feel like I updated this one properly. Yeses. Yep. Yes and yes. Okay. So yeah, that was updated. All right. Anywho, why I like to go over the optimal lineup versus the GPP versus the sweet spot is that's the final piece. It's comparing the sweet spot to both the optimal and the GPP win lineup to see how well it did. If we can take down a GPP, wonderful, but we're trying to aim for the optimal. So your optimal left $100 on the table. It scored 598.5 points. And we had 2 10K golfers, an 8K, 8K, 6, and 5K. So that's really interesting. Your GPP win lineup scored 588.5 points, and you used up $49,800. Well, the optimal was 598. The GPP was 588. So that's pretty darn good. 10 points behind the optimal lineup. That's hard to beat. And the optimal used those top 3 golfers, Hovland, Scotty, and Fitzpatrick. Had Russell Henley at 82, Hoagie at 57, and Kirk at 6,000. So it had actually 2 golfers in the that finished 20th or worse. But obviously Hoagie was in the optimal lineup, finishing 21st place because of DraftKings points. That's the most important thing when it comes to DraftKings is scoring points. And that comes through birdies, eagles, birdie streaks, stuff like that. And obviously Tom Hoagie must have had those things to have that high of points and that bad of a finish. Now, The Sweet Spot Optimal, unfortunately, only scored 581.5 points. So not only did it not hit the optimal lineup, but it also did not take down a GPP. This is one of very few years, or one of very few tournaments, where the Sweet Spot Optimal did not beat the GPP winning lineup. So kudos to that person. I believe this one was good enough for second place, though. So instead of winning $100,000, it would have won you $40,000. And had those top three guys: Hovland, Scheffler, and Fitzpatrick. But then had Putnam at 68, Theegala at 7, and Svensson at 62. And it's kind of funny, like, Theegala kept showing up in the optimizer during the live video Tuesday, and I was like, man, this isn't good. I don't want this much to hit Theegala. It just isn't panning out to what I want, what I need, or that I'm comfortable with. Sure enough, it was. Theegala was in the Sweet Spot Optimal. Again, it went to won first place, but it was definitely, it would have been worth it. And we would have had a high 6K with the low 6K. I just wasn't pairing up two 10K golfers together, so I don't think I would have ever gotten there. And of the 9K golfers, I wasn't doing much Max Homa or Sung JM. So I actually won my money back, but it was off of one contest. And that contest had Matt Fitzpatrick in it with Scheffler in it. Did not have Victor Hovland in it, believe it or not. So that, or no, I think it had Fitzpatrick and McIlroy in it. So either way, there are many ways to make your money back, or to make money. Doesn't really require having the winner, but that's not something I advocate for. Either way, this was one of the very few weeks where the Sweet Spot process was not 100% successful, and it did not take down a GPP. So I like to be transparent with you. I don't want to fake it or lie to you guys. So yeah, didn't work out during the BMW Championship. Maybe it will for the Tour Championship. So why don't we go ahead and talk about the bucket system for the Tour Championship. All right, let's go ahead and talk about these buckets really quickly. Now, this is where I tell you these are the stats that matter. If you want to follow along with me on the cheat sheet, check the description of this video. You'll find a link for that cheat sheet, and then all you got to do is go to the bucket system. So you can go ahead and throw these same filters on with me, and we can go over this together. So I'm going to clear everything out, and we're only going to look at last year. So really, there are only 3 buckets to look at. In fact, this is what I'm going to do. How about this? Let's open it up to everybody, and we remove 0 from this year's totals. So just go to bucket totals, and then this year we're going to remove 0. And we're only going to talk about the buckets that have more than 1. Or more than 0, I should say. So when we look at the last year buckets, we have 3 of them. We have golfers who finished inside the top 20, and then we have golfers who either did not play or finished outside the top 20. Those are the only 3 buckets. For obvious reasons, there's only 30 golfers in this bucket. But here's where we can really dig down deep into this information, because it's not only, you know, we're trying to hit the optimal lineup. So it's worthwhile to know how many golfers normally finish inside the top 10, what we have projected to finish inside the top 10, and how often they finish in the optimal lineup. So let's go over all these pieces of data. So we see normally 5 to 6 golfers who top 20'd this event last year inside the top 10 the following year. So basically what we're looking at for this year during the 2023 Tour Championship are finishes from the 2022 Tour Championship inside the top 20. That's what we're looking at. So the projection is 3 to 6 golfers going to finish inside the top 10. That matches up with what we normally see every single year, 5 to 6. These correlations are going to be like really, really close, 1-for-1s. Normally we see around 13 golfers in this range. Guess what? We have 12 this year. So of these 12 golfers, more than likely half of them are going to finish inside the top 10. Now, when it comes to the optimal lineup, we've seen as low as 2, but as high as 4. So although we've seen up to 6 golfers inside the top 10, we have not seen that many in the optimal lineup. And we also have not seen that many inside the top 5. So what that means is, if we were to go to the 2023 DK page, I think I already know I need to make one update, and that's to Matt Fitzpatrick. Let me find Matty. It's right here. He did finish. Yeah, I knew I needed to. So that's probably even going to change it more. There was a weird thing like Matt, like the data didn't line up because of that. It's so stupid. Let me change it on your guys's as well now that it's on my mind. So 1-1. He finished here 15th last year. So that might change it. Oh, I think it was already updated. Yep, it was. Cool. Because it goes by this sheet and not the other one. So we're all good. It should have included Matt Fitzpatrick. I think the strength of field points probably were updated. I imagine. So maybe if you guys want to rewind, you could probably see that. I'm not going to hit the back button that many times. Either way, projection's still 3-6. Probably wasn't going to change regardless. Again, 2-4 in the optimal. When it comes to golfers who finished outside of the top 20, so basically, 21st to 29th or 30th place, we haven't seen more than 2 in the optimal lineup from here. So just to give you an idea, if we just look at the last year 2s, we only have 4 golfers in this bucket. And that would be, so, okay, how about this? I'm going to go here. And what I want to do is look at the last year totals as well as the top 10s. So I'm going to hide this table and this table. And I want to look at last year. So I'm looking at this bucket here. I know it's weird with the numbering system that you see on there, but it's 20 to 40 place finishes from the last year bucket. 1, 3, 1, 2. I'm wondering why it's not showing at least 1. I have I know why. I have this little function up here that says yes or no. So if I hit yes, this incorporates, like, look at the buckets now. You see how there are, you don't see all those X's. Like if you were to pay attention to here, if I go back to here and I go no, go back to the buckets, I'm only including, it's so weird. I bet maybe it would have updated. I hope it would have updated, but I'm just showing those that had the staggered start from 2019 to 2022. Does it update? How not? R95. R. Oh, are we looking at the, oh, optimal. Okay. My apologies, everyone. Should be looking at the optimal lineups. So we had 2 in 2021. Otherwise, we've seen 0 every single year. All of our optimal lineups have either included just top 20s and did not plays, or that 1 year that we didn't have a did not play. It was in that range. So I guess when we look at the optimals, I mean, we've had low numbers from that bucket every single year. 4, 5, 5, 3, 4. So actually when there was 5, that's when we actually had our 2. That isn't true for every single year. I shouldn't say every single year, but when we had another 5 golfers. I mean, a lot of this just comes down to name recognition. So do we think Harman, Connors, Morikawa, and Burns are as good as Scheffler, Matsuyama? That's just 1. No one was in the optimal lineup there. What year was that again? 2021. Sorry, my apologies. 2021. We're looking at last year 2s here. I am so confused. What is going on? My data cannot be that off. How? 2021. FF. There were only 5. What is going on? Oh, I know what. Okay. My apologies, everyone. Jeez. So I used to rank order these buckets, and this is based off the rank order. This isn't actually based off of the last year finish. You see, this is did not finishes, or they were did not finishes. I guess I gotta go here. There we go. Wow. Nah and Horschel. 51 and 6K. Okay. So Bryson and Cam Smith, yeah, I wouldn't have really put them up there, but does that mean we leverage Sam Burns here and ignore the rest of these guys? Probably not. I really don't look at the buckets that way. Confused the hell out of myself. My apologies. Wow. But yeah, 2 is the max that we've ever seen in the optimal lineup. And this is why I love looking at this stuff, because I don't think you put more than 2 of these guys in a lineup together. In fact, I would say you want to limit it at 2. It's 2 or 1 or 0. I don't think you do 3. I don't think 3 of these guys will be in the optimal lineup. Interesting. Okay. Anyways. High success rate, high frequency rate of finishing inside the top 10, and then we also had some did not plays here as well. So 1 to 3 is the projection there. 14 golfers where we normally see about 12. And out of these names, yeah, there's some good ones. Fleetwood, Fowler, Clark. I like those. I like Henley. I don't mind some like Tom Kim and some of these other guys down here. I don't mind them at all. These are all golfers who did not play last week or last year. Sorry, last year. So then we go to our next bucket, and those are our last week golfers. So having a top 20 finish at the BMW, pretty darn good. We normally see somewhere between 5 to 8 to finish inside the top 10. That probably has a lot to do with the fact that of seating positions. So if you do really well at the BMW, you're going to move up the rankings in the FedEx Cup playoffs, and it's going to get you a better seat, or a better seed, I should say, when you do get to the Tour Championship. So I think they just leverage that into top 10s pretty easy. We've seen from 5 to 8, projecting 3 to 7, 14 golfers in that bucket, and we normally see somewhere between 2 to 4 in the optimal lineup, or 3 to 4 inside the top 5. So it's a good way to limit yourself or to cap yourself from grabbing golfers from that bucket. So just make sure there are no other active filters on, and just look at our last year ones. And again, these are golfers who top 20 last week. So last week inside the top 20, it's pretty simple. Some of your best golfers are here. You might not even be able to roster all of them, or not even all of them. I'm sorry. The projection was 3 to 7, and we haven't seen any more than 4 in the optimal lineup, or even inside the top 5. So with that being said, selecting 2 or less is probably the way to go. And maybe not even so much 2 or less. I mean, let's take a look at the buckets here. We're looking at the optimal lineup table down here. 2, 2, 4, 4. Okay. How many do we normally see in those buckets? So we would be looking at these right here. 9, 11, 10, and 6. 2, 2, 4, 4. Yeah, okay. And this is in the optimal lineup, by the way. So if we were to take a look, 2019, your optimal lineup. So you have these two. I'm sorry, never mind. It'd be these two guys. They finished inside the top 20. And these two guys. So 10, 9, and 2 8s. Yeah, that was 2019. And 2020, again, we're looking at last week. Top 20s. That didn't work out there, but Scheffler was a top 20. Hatton was a top 20. So too was Sebastian Munoz, and so too was Mackenzie Hughes. So these are your 6K or your low 5Ks and 7Ks. So it's a mixed bag of price tags here. Let's see, what else do we see here? We have 2 here with Rahm and Nas, so 13 and 6. And then in 2022, we have McIlroy and Sungjae. And that would be it for optimal lineup golfers that finished, that had a top 20 finish the week before. So a 10 and an 8, or I'm sorry, 10 and a 9, 13 and a 6, 7, 7, 5, 5, 10, 9, 8, 8. So it's all over the place. Your guess is as good as mine as to which golfers to select from here. We do have a 6K. Hey, Burns just showed up twice now as a 6K golfer. Seen him in 2 buckets that we've been talking about. So maybe Burns is just the obvious choice to be our 6K golfer. Who knows? This actually might not be a bad week to anchor around a 6K golfer, to be honest. So that's 2023. Last year ones, or I'm sorry, last week ones. I keep mixing that stuff up. Last week ones. Last week 2s, we're projecting 1 to 4 to finish inside the top 10. We've never seen more than 2 in the optimal lineup, but we've always seen 1. Same applies for top 5 finishes. So these are golfers who finished somewhere between 20th and 40th place at the BMW Championship. We've got Rahm up there at 11.6, Glover at 9.7, and Fowler at 9,000. Can even tell you where to start. I imagine, well, I shouldn't even say I imagine. Here's one optimal lineup golfer. That would be Karl Casey at $7,500 in 2020. Xander N. Thomas finished there, 11,000 and 8,900. 2021, there you go. JT once again, $11,000. And was he the only one? No. Daniel Berger at 5,800. 2020, Max Homa at 75, as well as Sepp Straka at 72. So this is all over the place as well. There's like no correlation with like salaries or anything like that. Could be Siwoo Kim, Tony Finau, Morikawa in the 7K range. It could be Rahm in the 11K range because we saw, you know, JT twice, 11.9 and 11,000 flat. Well, it could be Rahm. I mean, it really could be any combination, but I wouldn't play more than 2, put it that way. And then golfers who finish somewhere between 40th and 60th place. Projections low, 0 to 2. We have 3 golfers in that bucket this year. 0 to 2 in the optimal lineup and 0 to 1 in top 5s. But guess what? 75% of the time, we have a golfer in the optimal lineup from this bucket. Just out of curiosity, who are our last week 3s? Day, Taylor Moore, and Nick Taylor. Yeah, so no one to really be confident about. Let's put it that way. I'm going to clear out those filters. We can go ahead and look at course history. The course history buckets, 1, 2, and 6. Those are top 20s, 20 to 40, and did not plays. This course history 1 bucket is pretty solid. These are golfers who have an average finishing position at the Tour Championship with inside 20th place. That's probably pretty easy for some of these golfers, so might not even be worth looking at. But again, optimal lineups, 2 to 5 we see every single year, and 4 to 5 inside the top 10. So clear out all your filters and just look at course history 1 golfers. This should also include another golfer, Matt Fitzpatrick. Let me update that also on the cheat sheet. If you didn't already know, some data didn't come through because Matthew and Matt, Excel does not recognize those names to be the same thing. So anyways, course history 1s. We have 20 golfers, and of this, we're going to see a lot of them. I mean, what was it? 2 to 5 in the optimal lineup? I don't know. Take your pick. There's a bunch of 10K golfers. and 9s down to 6s. So 2 to 5 is what we normally see. And I guess if we were to go to our buckets, let's double check to see what it looks like for course history buckets in the optimal lineup. So like I said, 2 to 5, and this is the bucket we're looking at right here. And this is what we typically see every single year. 17, 20, 17, 19, 3, 5, 2, 5. So when there are more golfers in that bucket, we see more in the optimal lineup. 20 and 19, 20 golfers, 19 golfers, 5 and 5. And 17, 17, 3 and 2. So worth mentioning because this year we have 5 golfers. I'm sorry. We have 20 golfers in that bucket this year. I lost my spot. So it's probably worthwhile thinking we're going to see at least 5 golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. Somewhere around there. So it's right where you want to start, but it definitely brings these golfers in play, especially even like these 5K golfers or even 6, 7K golfers down here. That's really interesting. Super interesting. I can't wait to build lineups with this tomorrow at the strategy video, where I'll go live at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, because it will use these bucket conditionals in there. It says 4 to 7, but I think I'm gonna drop it down to I'll make it like 2 to 6, because I'm definitely gonna keep this in mind. I don't want to make lineups with more golfers out of that. Course history 2s, we've never seen more than 1 in the optimal lineup, and then people just have never played. We've seen up to 4, but 0s across the board. And 75% frequency rate means, you know, basically all but 1 year have we not seen golfers from like this bucket not finished inside the top 10. So maybe it's 1 guy, maybe it's 2 guys. Really up to you. Yeah, projection 0 to 2. I don't mind someone like Nick Taylor. I don't mind someone like even like Taylor Moore. We saw him in a couple other buckets, or even Wyndham Clark. See how it all goes, how it all shakes down when we build lineups tomorrow, of course. That concludes the course history buckets. Going into the recent form buckets, having a really good recent form, 2 to 4. So this is where we might find a little bit of an edge. So having really good recent form. Normally we see around 7. We have 8 this year. And 2 to 4 is the projection. Never seen more than 2. So let's take a look. This is actually pretty good. We might actually see a little bit of an edge. So recent form 1s. Your best recent form. Never seen more than 2, but guess what? We're probably, and that's in the optimal lineup. And that's probably more so to do with, we're going to see the same thing this year because of price tags. But I think if it might lean into choosing someone like a Victor Hovland and a Tom Kim or a Tommy Fleetwood. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if those 3 guys might be in the optimal lineup. And we've seen plenty of years where the winner isn't in the optimal lineup because he's too expensive, like a $13,400 Scotty Scheffler. $13,000 Rory McIlroy might also be too expensive, especially if Victor Hovland finishes up there, or even Max Homa, or even Lucas Glover. Like, those guys, if they can finish, you know, very high with good DraftKings points, they're going to supersede any of these golfers. So that's all worth considering. I mean, this makes me like Tom Kim just a little bit more. Then recent form 2s, that 20 to 40 range. Actually, we've seen a lot of golfers from this range in the optimal lineups, as well as top 5s, top 10s. Rahm, Cantlay, Schauffele, Clark. There's Clark again. We've seen him a couple times. Fowler, M. Burnsy's down there. This might be a Burnsy week. I mean, shoot, a lot of my lineups might start with Sam Burns and Tom Kim, and just see what goes from there. It's hard not to like picture that lineup working out. So anyways, all of this again available on the cheat sheet. You can go ahead and put these filters on there and read it the same way. Recent form 3s, we have 7 golfers there. 0 to 2 is a projection. We don't see that. We see that same thing with optimal lineups, as well as top 5 finishes. So that's really interesting to consider. I'm not going to look at the golfers there. I'll give you guys the opportunity to do that. We have all of our salary buckets here. So as you can imagine, we're going to see a lot of 10K and above golfers inside the top 10. Everything else is 0 to 2. So the projection 0 to 2. That also kind of corresponds with the optimal lineups. But guess what? This lower than 6.5K bucket, the low 6K bucket, has at least 1 every single year and up to 3. So this is like $6,400 down to $5,000. That includes all these golfers. So keep that in mind. Yeah, 5 golfers in that bucket. 1 to 3. So it might be worthwhile to go 5K. And then strokes gained buckets, I'd just recommend you watch the bucket system video in the description below to understand what this is. But this is all color coordinated based the dream sheet, that is. It's all color coordinated based off of the strokes gained buckets. So you can see all the 1s in this column are this dark green, light green are the 2s, yellows are the 3s, and then we have 1 strokes gained 4 golfer. So you can see all the projections here as well. I also include the optimal lineups as well as the top 5 frequencies. That again can be found on the cheat sheet, link in the description below. That's all right here. So we were just talking about strokes gained buckets. That's all included here. You get your top 5 frequencies. I can zoom in a little bit. So you get your top 5 frequencies, you get your optimal lineup frequencies, everything that I just showed you, you get right here on or in the cheat sheet. So again, link in the description for that. I think that's where we're going to conclude it. I do not have anything else to talk about. I'm not going to talk about these strokes gained buckets. I'll leave that up to you guys as research if you want to use that or not. So with that being said, I've got nothing else to provide. And we can conclude not only the segment for the bucket system, but also review or the preview for the Tour Championship. Man, all over the place. Anyways, check giveaway reminders at the beginning of this video. Other than that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu. Thank you guys. Oh, I got to get... There we go. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.